I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street. There's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Okay, I'm here, and I'm sorry I'm late. I was here, but then, you know me, without Kristopher, Kate had to kind of hold my hand and get me going here. So I am glad everybody is here tonight. Hopefully Kristopher has made it to his destination, whatever that shall be. So I don't know how many Madison County people are here tonight, but I hope there's a lot. We have lots to talk about. Since the one thing that Chris wanted me to clarify for you that are tuning back in today, he did make those phone calls to other municipalities or other counties, and they say that their department head is responsible for like the registration, the insurance, and all that stuff. I just want to be real clear with you. That's not how it works in Madison County. So in Madison County, the commissioners still control all of that. They're supposed to be doing the registrations and the insurance. I don't know why they wouldn't give that to their departments, but it is what it is. But we'll see some differences. We're going to continue to look into that, and then I'll get you guys more information on that as well. So with that being said, I know that we promised that we were going to talk about taxes, and we are going to talk about taxes. However, between last night and this evening, there was an article that came out on the Herald Bulletin, and it has stirred quite the controversy. So I do want to share this with you first. So it has to do with Steve Sumner. And let me just clarify, I know there's a lot of distraction over whether or not is Katherine paying the reward. That is all being looked into. I assure you that I have nowhere to go, so it would be kind of a bad idea not to pay it, but we need to make sure that the rightful people are getting it. We should have put some better stipulations on that. And I will show you some of my rationale behind this when I bring this Facebook page up here. So we're going to bring this up, and let me see here. I'm going to go to add to the stage. Look, I'm growing without Kristopher. I'm making it. Kate's been a wonderful teacher. So I don't know if you can, if you can see all of this, but let me go here. So what we have here is there was an article that was just posted about Sumner girlfriend makes initial court appearances. I couldn't understand why the girlfriend had made a court appearance and Steve hadn't yet. She just got into town Tuesday and he came in Friday, but they say because he already has charges, that's why he doesn't have to. So I didn't know that, but this is what I want to bring to everybody's attention. Anderson, the woman who helped former Madison County Councilman Steve Sumner evade capture on multiple felony charges, made her first court appearance Thursday, which was today. Sharon Bailey Barker, 65, of Woodbine, Maryland, appeared for an initial hearing on a felony charge of assisting a criminal. Magistrate John Garman said the prosecutor's office requested a higher bond on the level 5 charge because Barker is considered a flight risk. Garman set her bond at $20,000 full cash. So remember that number, the 20,000. Barker said she is being represented by attorney Brian Williams. Now, here's the situation. That comment right there is what everybody is stirring about. If convicted, Barker would face a possible sentence of 1 to 6 years in prison. Barker was arrested on September 8th in Howard County, Maryland, and provided information that led to Sumner's arrest. Sumner's facing 18 criminal charges, and you can go and read all the other information from there. We're going to jump right down here to the bottom, and at the bottom it says, an acquaintance of Sumner's girlfriend perhaps motivated a $25,000 reward for information on Sumner's whereabouts, provided police with a pivotal tip to lead to his arrest. Okay, so we're going to talk about that as well. So this is the article. It's gotten quite a bit of information here. You can see their mugshots and do all that good stuff if you want. And then you can read about the comments. So this is what I want people to understand. The rewards for 25,000. And let me go back to my text messages because I don't want to tell any of you wrong. So back here in my text messages, says, okay, so here it says that somebody contacted Jamie Lynn is how it is. And it says, Steve dropped off his girlfriend at a relative's. I can't get a hold of one of the marshals, not sure else who to call. I'm talking to her daughter. So the question is who actually informed who? How did the daughter know? My understanding is the daughter wasn't in Maryland at the time. She could only go via text. And so my concern is I don't want the wrong person to get the money once it's there. Now, I don't know about you, and I guess you could turn in your mother, but that would be with a heavy heart that I would turn in my mother and then, turn around and say, well, she's got a $20,000 cash bond. We got this reward. Let me use this reward money to post her bond. So, I mean, yes, it is their money to do if that's who, but we just need to make sure what's going on here. Our other concern is that this mom's been on the run. How can she afford an attorney like Brian Williams? He's a very expensive attorney, but he's also, and you'd have to go and verify this on the DLGF. He's like the head public defender. Like he makes 6 figures off of the county in the public defender's office. And so here we are once again with handshakes, wink winks. Brian's very thick in with this crowd, this establishment crowd. And so there's lots of concerns over the fact, is he representing her as a public defender, which why would you take somebody of his caliber and put him over a case where we all know clearly she's guilty? So this is quite the stir. I agree with everybody who's got information out there who's picking up on that. Why is Brian Williams in the middle of this? And so my question is, why wouldn't he be? He has a lot of stakeholders that he needs to keep happy. And so this is a big deal. And here's one comment. How is it that Brian Williams, as the second highest paid employee in the county, whose salary is determined in part by the lichens allowed to represent Sumner's girlfriend. I am quite sure she will get a very light sentence in exchange for keeping her mouth shut on the extent of their financial assistance. Is anyone else concerned by the apparent conflict? And so I put the article up so that people could come to their own conclusions, but it is great to see that people are coming out and actually saying, we really have big problems in Madison County. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that. It is what it is. We'll continue to watch the whole situation, and then from there we will see where we're going. So with no further ado, we're going to talk about taxes and how we want to max the tax in Madison County. Now, back when Todd Culp was running for auditor, he was on WHBU and he had said, hey, we really need to increase our taxes everywhere. We really need to max those taxes. Now, he did wait until after he won the general election, the primary election, in order to start saying that, because he had nobody to compete with him in the general. So that all came out. It started coming up on Facebook. Clayton Whitson, he also got in there, said people do not understand how taxes work, that even though we're raising the bridge fund. Well, that doesn't matter that we're raising the bridge fund because it won't directly raise the people's taxes. Now, I'm not sure where these men go to any type of schooling, or if any at all. I don't know I do know what Todd Culp's educational background is. Todd Culp is let me show everybody what Todd Culp is. So Todd Culp went to Purdue University, and his degree is in forestry. And so that's the one thing. And Kate, I don't know if you can put this picture up or not, but I'm going to send it to you. So this is who your auditor is. That's who's kind of over the auditor's position. So his degree is in forestry. And I can understand now why nobody has any idea how to balance anything or know where anything's at. So with all of that, let me see. I wanted to give you one other picture. So yes, I am flying by the seat of my pants because I just got home from work in a rush and ate something real quick. So here are two pictures. So I'm going to have you guys help me with some of this stuff. All right. So let's go back here. Get rid of this. And if Kate was able to get those pictures. I don't know why you guys post so much on my wall. Just kidding. So, I want to show this to everybody. I did not get a chance. I'm going to bounce around here a little bit. Kristopher keeps me a little bit more grounded, what I do. So let's go back here. So let's go back to my Facebook page. This one I haven't made public. I should make it public. So let's do that. Edit audience. Public. So I wrote this yesterday. I just haven't had time to deal with it. This weekend, Kyle Pierce will be talking about Charlie Kirk. He's going to be talking about civil discourse and free speech to our democracy. I want to clarify some things. I was under the impression, and shame on me, I assumed, so that's on me, that Kyle Pierce went to law school and Kyle Pierce finished law school, I think in 21, and that he was an attorney. My apologies, and I will own it. I received a couple phone calls over the last couple of months who said Kyle Pierce is not an attorney. I went to look it up on the Bar Association, and that is absolutely correct. He has not. I don't know if he didn't take the test. I don't know if he took the test and he didn't pass, but he is not an attorney. He did go to law school though. So I apologize for misinforming anybody with that information. But let's talk about a little civil discourse, and that his wife is able to, she's like really moving up, really working the party, really trying to get into all those positions, which is fine. She's got a journalism degree. So she gets into some very creative writing. But I want to remind everybody, this is who you vote for. You vote for Chloe, who is Kyle Pierce's wife, and this is what she posts. There's a difference between telling the truth and bullying. This is a clear case of bullying. So I just want everybody to understand what's sitting out there, and who you're voting for. You're not just voting for Kyle Pierce. You are voting for this very disgusting woman and poor role model to children and women everywhere. I have no idea what would spark somebody like that to be so hateful, but when you marry stuff like that, you need to own stuff like that. So if you go through here, it will show you how uncivil Kyle Pierce is, how he likes to spin the words, how he likes to come back at people. And so I just want you to understand, these are not nice people. Yes, they show up for the picture, they show up for the opportunity, but these people are just not good people. So there's other people who feel that way. So you can go through, you can look at those pictures, but I wanted to bring that up. If you get the opportunity to talk to Kyle Pierce, you can ask him how professional or lack of professional that is with his wife. So I kind of wanted to bring that up. So I'm kind of jumping around here because Chris hasn't had me on here for a long time. So I have all these other little things that are going on. So with further ado, let's look here at this article. I'm going to go back. All right. So on here, this is where we start talking about the taxes. Okay. So here we are again with the Richwine Pratt Gardner. They're running around the county like bullies. We kind of talked about that last night. And so as we look at this, I just saw an article pop up, so we might have to look into that too. But I want people to see here, when we talk about public safety distribution, where's all this money going? I have no idea. And now they want to raise it even more. So the PSAP is on the table for Tuesday night because our council is saying that they don't have the $400,000 to help our police officers and give them their raises. So I want people to pay attention to this. I've got so much information in my head that I can't even begin to share with all of you everything nobody would want to be in my head. I just want all of you to know. So with that being said, if anybody has any questions, that's fine, but it's so different without Kristopher here. So as we look back, let me see here. I want to bring, actually, we'll just go to the actual meeting. I want to talk about Tuesday night's meeting that the council had, and I want to bring some things to people's attention from that meeting. So let me get that up for all of you. Okay, let's see here. Here we go. All right, so let's listen to this meeting. I hope you can hear this stuff. So here we go. Let me turn the volume.
Anderson, and actually an employee at the Sheriff's Department, as these others have spoke up for our department and our.
Okay, I lied. That's not the one. So that's September 10th. Where is the video? Well, I don't see the video. That's September 12th. All right. I don't know where it's at here. All right. So I'm looking for Tuesday night's meeting. So that would have been September. Is that September 13th that meeting took place? Tuesday. I don't know. I got to be giving everybody a headache. So, all right. I got to find this video. So I have the whole video, but the problem here is if I send it to my messenger and I pull up my messenger, then everybody is going to see everybody who messages me. And well, that's just a very bad idea. So I don't want to do that. So it would have been September 9th that this meeting would have taken place. So September. All right, we got it. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. All right, so here's the meeting. I want you to listen to this meeting. We're going to go right on down here. I think it's right about. Okay.
300,000 total. Plus or minus. I think we'll put up that original slide.
So this request from the commissioners tonight is more than you've done additional appropriations for every other department the entire year.
Yep.
Somebody gets it.
I can infer, we knew we were wrong going into budget, they were low.
Okay, now I want you to listen very closely to what is being said here. Bethany asks, how much money have we spent overall to this date? And then Rob Steele acknowledges, up to this point, if you go back and watch it, what they're talking about is that the people who did the budget last year, which I'm going to give Bethany kind of a pass, I'm going to kind of give Jody a pass, but technically there's 7 members that are voted up there. Ben Gale usually did the budget himself. Diana Likens was always involved with that. And then Anthony Emery, who's a state trooper, was, and then Rob Steele. Those were always the 4 that always carried the vote over while they left others in the dark. So I did look up last night late after I got off the show. You cannot remove FICA and PERF from your budget. This is a big, big deal. So that's going to have to be looked into a lot closer. But listen to this information.
Okay, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Lisa Summers, Alexandria. How much did the commissioners put back last year? And if they were short, then they need to find the money in other areas to cover it, because that's what you had the surveyor do. What's the difference? Is it on topic?
Oh, Bethany, this isn't on topic. Sit back down.
Nope.
Sorry, about,
Yes.
oh, I thought you were.
We're considering this, we have a motion and a second.
Can you remind me how much the council has done in additional appropriations for this year before tonight's meeting? I believe that was in the report.
Are you talking about employment or appropriations?
Additional appropriations from the general fund. 300,000 total.
Plus or minus. I think we'll put up that original slide.
So this request from the commissioners tonight is more than you've done additional appropriations for every other department the entire year.
Yep.
Somebody gets it.
I can infer, we knew we were wrong going into budget, they were low.
So the volume is really low on this, Catherine. So people are probably cranking their volumes up to listen to it. So when you come back on, you're going to want to make sure that you're giving people time to adjust their volumes, because you about killed me last time you jumped in.
This is not acceptable.
approve the budget?
Right? Well, then ask the questions.
Yeah.
So what are the implications if we don't approve this? So you're gonna pay it without an appropriation?
Which is illegal.
I'm gonna remind you, this is in the commissioner's budget, but it has to do solely with the county council and the raises we give, the amount of
What
overtime
raises?
that's spent, the amount of part-time that's spent, and you're gonna pay it.
See,
We'll pay it without an appropriation, because we're not gonna be held accountable by the federal government for not paying FICA,
but it's a misappropriation
We're
of
not
funds.
not pay PERF, and put ourselves, our retirement for our county employees in jeopardy. These lines are a function of the county council, not the commissioners. That's
Should have
just the
appropriated.
location of these lines. The commissioners have absolutely nothing to do with FICA and PERF.
Yes, yes.
That's all driven by the county
Your
council,
budget.
because the county council is
No.
the sole body in the county
Mm-mm.
that establishes the number of employees, the rate of pay, and compensation. So there's a lot of nonsense, but these have nothing to do with commissioners. This is purely a county council function.
Mm-mm.
So who calculated these for this year's budget? It's up to you on it.
We always calculate, we're trying to project what that FICA and PERF is. And just like, if you'll remember during just the recent budget hearings, I'm like, no, please don't touch the FICA and the PERF. If you look at that spending, remember that column that Christie had me add with the expended? If you look at that expended, you can
Mm-mm.
look out in the future and see that you don't want to reduce next year's budget because you're already going to spend more than what next year's budget is set at, okay? But when we do that, if you think about all the salary ordinances, the amended salary ordinances we've had since January, I believe we've had amended salary ordinances every month of the year, okay?
So why can't we do the sheriff's?
Think about that when that number's going up, or think about if you've appropriated a lot of overtime for the sheriff's department. He spent well over what you gave him the budget for. When you appropriate more money for overtime, you appropriate more money for part-time, you have a FICA and a PERF responsibility that comes with that. We know the percentages, they're not, it's not ambiguous, but that does have an effect on it. Now, like, for example, the sheriff's merit officers, they don't pay into PERF. They're part of a separate retirement group. But any other body that you're increasing the wage in, or you have overtime in, you definitely have FICA, and you most likely have PERF, with the exception of the merit officers. Are there any other questions?
Any other questions?
Well, some of the new salary ordinances we did, some of them are miscellaneous, but they have to up their.
That's right,
budget,
yep.
so.
You're exactly right.
We're gonna deal, we're gonna play piece.
So we feel like this amount will get us through the end of the year?
Yes, that's based on a projection. If we look at
No.
unexpended amounts, you probably know the unexpended reports that I sent you. We're looking at 32% of unexpended when we did the analyzing of where we were, and we're at 30% unexpended for FICA and for roughly. So we're projecting forward to make up that difference. One of the reasons I bring it to you now, though, is because you need to know it's coming, and we're going to appropriate that money. So it helps you make better budget decisions from now until the end of the year, knowing that appropriation is already accounted for.
All your time, you're telling us not to do money appropriations.
Yes, but we'll pay it with or without appropriation, because I'm not going to jail.
See, back in these, this is forcing their hand.
Excuse me, we're having a.
It's a public meeting.
So if we don't,
Mm-mm.
It's
so
a
if we
meeting.
don't approve it and you don't pay it, you go to jail. But if
Folks,
we,
just a minute, I apologize for interrupting. But we're here to have a dialogue. Sometimes we have an interaction with constituents who are coming to the mic, but we're not having a conversation out in the audience we need to be able to hear one another.
And speak into your mics when
'Cause you
you're
can't hear.
talking. We can't hear you back.
We will do our best.
We can't hear
It's
you,
been asked like
We're
5
not gonna
times.
Have any more conversation, Counselor Kelly.
but we can't hear
You
you.
can speak into your mic.
I just wanna understand, so if we don't appropriate the money, you're saying you're gonna pay it anyway? Because it would be a
absolutely.
violation of the federal law if you
Yes.
don't. But if we, but in that same situation, where it was spent without appropriation, you'd also be committing a misdemeanor here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd rather take the misdemeanor.
Wow.
than
Good,
the
let 'em.
federal law, yeah. And really, what would happen at the State Board of Accounts would think the county council's goofy and for not appropriating FICA and PERF, and they would probably have a finding on you, not on me for paying.
So do we have the money to approve this?
You don't have an option unless you're gonna reduce staff.
Cut the sheriff's budget.
Well, I guess they just told the sheriffs where they stand.
A motion and a second. Roll call, please. I'm sorry?
Okay, all right.
Counselor Steele,
Yes.
Counselor Polk,
Yes.
Counselor Lycan,
Yes?
Counselor Grabowski,
Yes.
Counselor Keller,
No.
Vice President North,
Yes.
President Green.
Yes.
Okay, now here's what I want to tell everybody who just watched that. That vote just went 6-1. 6 of those members up on that council just committed a crime. Now, we can all argue this all day long, but they knowingly withdrew PERF and FICA in order to show the public a balanced budget in 425. So when I was researching this, and maybe there's some attorneys that are watching tonight, but it says it is highly illegal for a county council to knowingly submit a budget that has removed funds for FICA, which is your Social Security and your Medicare, and PERF, the Public Employee Pension Fund. The potential consequences include criminal charges, civil penalties, personal liability for officials, and federal and state government intervention. So the consequences for the county are quite significant, but as individuals, this would be malfeasance. The only person who would not come into play is Bethany Keller. She said no. Now, Green wants to be the president of this council, but has no idea what the roles really are. He thinks it's just something to sit up there, pound his chest, say, I'm the president, I can do whatever I want. Well, maybe you need to start listening to your constituents, because if you go back and you watch this video and you back it up, it's about 20 minutes long. I even get up there in the beginning and I'm like, you should know what your FICA and PERF are. This should already be in there. Rob Steele tells the committee, we knew we took that out. Todd Kolb says, I told you guys not to take it out. He knew that they did it. So now you've got the auditor involved, you've got the council involved, and we have no checks and balances going on anywhere in this county. And now you tell me that you cut our budget last year by 1.9 million, but you didn't. You knew that we would be forced to have to pay this. And so here we are. And look at Todd. He didn't care that there's a misappropriation of funds. He doesn't care. He's going to take that Class B misdemeanor because you know what? He thinks the State Board of Accounts is going to say, hey, you're goofy. No, really what needs to be happening now is the State Board of Accounts, and really this needs to be filed at the federal level, needs to come in here and say, what do you guys know? What do you mean that you showed the public a budget in which you knew you had money taken out of there that had to be paid? That is, it's criminal. You can't, you have to go out and read it. If Kristopher were on here tonight, he'd probably give us a better explanation of what's going on. But I just want everybody to know that had the State Board of Accounts known this was going on, they would have rejected this budget. They would have never approved this budget. The fact that the auditor knew that this budget was going to be pushed through like that and did not say a word about it, that's a problem too. So we're seeing more and more of this come out in the public eye. And now, what do you want to do? You guys want to raise our our public safety taxes. You want to raise our PSAP to go and take care of all these people that are back here with this. And so, the great thing is I love to see people who come on the show who want to talk about the messenger, but offer nothing to the people that are here on the show tonight. So, if people feel that they want something constructive to say, please offer it up, because this AF person, the person who can't seem to even use their own name, the credibility there is probably pretty shallow. So I just want everybody to know that this is a criminal offense. It is our taxpayers' dollars. I am very concerned about that. I will always be very concerned about that. And that's just how I'm going to be. And the truth is that none of us should be taking a breath when we're being ripped off. That's just how I feel about it. None of us should sleep well at night knowing that these people are committing crimes and nobody's making them accountable for that. To show up at the polls and vote is one thing. And I'm going to say this, and I really don't care if this comes back and bites me. To live in this country, but to say you would never go to war to defend this country or to fight for this country, I have a problem with that. Because these are the type of people who like to come on this show and talk about, the messengers. I would gladly die for this country. I wouldn't have a problem, and I wouldn't think twice about it. My family has done that. And so, yes, I'm not going to take a breath. I'm not going to let criminals continue to take from us. And I'm going to continue to fight, because you know what? Our veterans pay a lot in taxes. Our elderly pay a lot in taxes. So there's a lot to be worried about here, people. So I will allow my blood pressure to get up, but I really think it's important that we're aware of what's going on. So if anybody of you know about PERF and FICA, if you know anywhere to file the violation, I'd love any of the feedback or the help with it, because this is a big problem. And the other thing is Alva is absolutely right. To show up, I stand at the polls every year, and as people are coming up, they're like, I've done my civic duty. What, for the year? Because while you've done your civic duty, you put this into seat, and guess what? They're ripping you off. So it was just interesting to see how the auditor right here was willing to say, knew all about it. You're going to give us this $300 and some thousand tonight, while they had all the sheriffs in the back of the room who needed $400,000. They won't get it. Now, I don't know if anybody picked up on it with with Todd Culp. They asked him, will this be enough money? So they were making a vote on an encompassing thing. It wasn't just for PERF and FICA. They put this all together as one. And Todd Culp said, and I do not understand why he is up there representing the commissioners, because on the agenda, this is listed under the commissioners asking for this money. So we get up there and he says, this will get us through to the end of the year. We shouldn't need any more. Well, can somebody please tell me why there is $1 million advertisement for the commissioners that they want on Tuesday? Because that's a whole problem within itself. So now we've got that issue going on as well. So we'll go here, and as we move on, they voted for that, and then they end up taking a break. They come back from break, and they begin to talk about.
And give them the information that they need. They say it would take about 2 weeks to gather all the data.
So what they just talked about there, that's another thing I want to bring to everybody's attention. The other thing they just talked about there, they want, the council wants $15,000 from the rainy day fund in order for a company to come in. They're going to look through our budgets, and they're going to they're going to find out how much. Okay, somebody just sent me how we can file that complaint. They're going to look at our budgets, kind of tell them where we're going to be short at with the State Bill 1 coming in, and then how we should redirect our money. And it's $15,000. We get so many months. Well, it won't help us with this budget. So why they want to start it now, because it goes on an amount of time. They really should start it in January. They should request the money just like every other department. It should not be coming out of the rainy day fund. It should be coming out of whatever they're going to budget for next year. They need to cut from somewhere. If they can't do the job to go through and find out where we're going to be short or how much we're going to be short on, which I don't think we're really going to be short, because think about it. So I had property that was around 300,000. That property now is assessed at 700 and some thousand. So think about the increase that they're going to get. Now, I am fighting that, don't get me wrong, but that's the whole part with understanding. They've increased the property taxes so high that we're going to have the revenue. I don't think that there's anything that's going to cost us not to have that revenue. So kind of want to show you what their explanation is.
Why?
But it is required. They can force your hand and you will approve it. Tonight, you have shown the county that you can be bullied into appropriations and have zero control over the departments and their spending. Only one member of this council refuses to allow departments to bully. Maybe all of you need to learn from her example, and you need to start taking public safety a little bit more serious. The other reason why this $15,000 should not go through tonight or next month, and it should wait until January. You have an auditor, you have a treasurer, you have all you guys. I would think all of you guys would have the brains to put this all together. Certainly, most of you have college degrees. So that would save us, the taxpayers, money, and you'd learn a lot more from it. So I'm not sure why you even need it. Do I think it's a great idea? Yeah, but I think that it's money that we can save and you guys can figure this out. But the other real reason why you probably should wait till January to implement this, I don't know how many of these guys are going to be there in January. So it'd be a moot point because you may have to really redo something.
Anyone else?
After listening to, yeah, I'm still learning life, just like I was last time. After listening to the council meeting and going through all the appropriation items, I now have a brand new concern about the budget. It appears that last year, the council made a budget that specifically, on purpose, underfunded departments.
Yep.
I don't know why. So they could look good, so they could come into a number that they wanted to come into, knowing that they were going to have to give money to these people throughout the year, knowing that these people did not have enough money.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Lisa Summers, Alexandria. I find it interesting that I think only one of you live out in the county and the rest of you live in a city or a town. And so if you needed an officer, you wouldn't need one of the sheriffs. You would have one of the city or town officers to come to your home if you were in trouble.
I'm going to talk real quietly here.
So you, if you give me just a few minutes to redirect. Kara, could you turn on the TV? Under the 2025 presentations, could you pull up the public safety and general fund budgets at the time? At the very bottom of that sheet.
I'm not sure where the taxpayer.
The sheriff,
catastrophic one-time kinds of experiences, like the Capitol case, or situations that arise. I think it doesn't take much of an accounting degree to figure out if we pay out of the rainy day fund for salaries, that it'll just simply be gone within a relatively few years, and now we won't have the rainy day fund or the money to fund salaries. Did ask Mr. Clutter to speak to the, one of the questions was that we kind of raised previously is the contract sent to us from the discussion of the mayor officers and the commissioners. Was a contract agreed upon by those two entities, but had all of our names on it as signatories. None of us were in any of those meetings that I'm aware of. And yet, Mr. Clutter, if you could speak to the role of the county council as it relates to pay and salary for all the county employees, including the mayor officers. Yeah, that'd be great.
I think you encapsulated that quite well, but I think you all are also aware that state law is quite clear that the county council is the exclusive decision when it comes to salaries.
Yes.
They are for the county assessor's employees or mayor deputies. You exclusively are in charge of setting what those salaries are. As Mr. Holt well knows, I'm sure people in this room know, statute is quite clear on that. That's not to say that the sheriff's request and the request of the commissioners shouldn't be given a great deal of deference. But as you noted, it is impossible to guess, especially months ago when they were going through these negotiations, what effect that the legislation would have had. And some counties, other municipalities, very little effect. Some are actually up a little bit, surprisingly enough, for a variety of reasons, which I'm not qualified to speak on. Yours has not been that positive. And so with that in mind, you guys have to make the tough decisions there.
Todd, I don't know if you could speak on this or not, but what is happening at the state is affecting local levels, correct? Like at the county level, at the municipality level.
yes.
How is Anderson doing? They're giving an 8% increase for employees.
I
And
could
then
have addressed this last month, but the city is a fundamentally different government entity in that they have an executive, being the mayor, that controls all the budgets. So in order for, here, we have 45 departments, and a good number of those are elected officials. They have direct access to come to the county council and ask for what they want. It doesn't work like that in the city. The city, the mayor is the executive, and he hires the police chief, he hires the fire chief, and then they funnel all the requests through them. They do all the negotiation of their own contracts and with those public safety unions through the mayor. The council never gets that one-on-one pressure because the mayor's working on that behind the scene. One thing that Mayor Broderick's done rather well is he doesn't spend all the money that he has every year. So he stockpiles money, and then he's able to take care of his employees every year. If you look back at like the cost of living allowances at the city of Anderson, they're very, very steady. But that's because he's a center point of controlling the money, whereas you have a body of 7 that's bombarded by 45 different departments wanting their needs. The city council never sees that. They have one budget that's proposed by the mayor that controls the spending in all the departments. So that's how it's fundamentally different. He puts the brakes on a lot earlier and takes reserves back. And I know for a fact that Mayor Broderick's been concerned about the same things we're concerned about. That Senate Road Act 1, he's been very concerned about what that's going to do to the income of the city. So he's intentionally not spending money and stockpiling money, so that when they travel through this, they'll have plenty of money to do the things they need to do. But that's why it's fundamentally different, because you have one person presenting their budget to the council, not 45 departments coming to the council telling you what they need.
You also have 3 utilities, water, sewer, and electric, that they could be lucrative businesses. I mean, they are a not-for-profit business, but they do fund and are not subject to property taxes. You can contribute back into the general fund.
And Todd, didn't you also mention that, I was thinking last month, you gave a great example of if an employee left or retired, that sometimes the mayor chooses not to fill the position.
Yes, that's a great example, especially on the police department. I think they have something like 111 officers budgeted, and he never fills all those positions. He leaves those.
Okay, we're going to take a timeout. Now listen to me. This is the biggest bunch of horse crap I have ever listened to. It's not that they have these extra police officers open. They don't have enough people to staff it. It's not that they're intentionally doing this. I have spoken to the city about this whole thing. We in Madison County have added 54 people over the last 4 years in Madison County. These people keep hiring more and more people in the county, yet we don't have the money for any raises. So if you don't have money for raises, I don't know how you have money to continue to hire. So this show of circus between Diana Likens and Todd Culp to stroke each other so that they look like, oh, this is what we're doing, and they have these luxuries. Listen, the city of Anderson still has a council. They oversee the money. I don't know where Todd, and the only thing I can think about, and I'm just going to say it. So Todd Culp's wife is Jennifer Culp. She is the president pro tem for the city of Anderson's council. Now, I don't know if these two are sipping cocktails or they don't know how money's being managed or how money or government works. Perhaps that's the case, but this is a huge problem with these guys because nobody's being truthful up here with each other. So, I just kind of want to put all that out there. This is kind of a long meeting. I didn't have time to get all the timestamps that I want. I wanted to kind of show you what Jody's thought process is and what Green's process is. But I'm going to take you, we're just going to read the article, and it kind of says that. Let me see here. So the article comes out by the Herald Bulletin, and maybe somebody can help me understand all of this good stuff. Let's see here on the Herald Bulletin. Because I've never quite seen. So during the meeting, Green says this will not in any way increase our taxes to the people. That this, if they mess with this PSAP, it'll be completely fine. When you go in here and you look, so they, and here's what people need to understand. In order for this to go, right here, it says, based on the 2020 census, Anderson has the most votes on the council with 42.11, followed by Madison County with 33.95 votes. Elwood has to be 6.46. Alexandria is 3.96. Pendleton is 3.62. Now, what's going to happen is one of these teams, well, actually two, will have to vote to get the majority over the top. So the county cannot do it by itself. In 23, the county tried to increase lit tax. They were the only ones that said yes, while all the municipalities said no, because the year before that, all the municipalities said yes, and then the county kind of left them out to dry. So there is going to have to be, I encourage people, you've got to talk to your elected officials about all of this, because this is nobody is ever going to come back and say, let's reduce your taxes. You guys, it's fine. We're going to reduce your taxes. You don't have any problems. That's never going to happen. They're just going to shift things around. So I want people to understand, just right here, Green stressed that the measure would not be an increase in the tax, but a redistribution of the funds. Okay, I can't believe this guy has gone to medical school. I don't know. Maybe you're fine as a physician, but financially you're a nightmare, because it doesn't matter how we look at it, people. If we have a piece of the pie and we've already got it in 12 sections, if you take from that piece of the pie, one section is going to go lower. I don't care how you do it. So I don't know where he says it's not going to, and we're going to have to replace that because those people are already using that money, because you're not letting people retire or go and not replacing them. These guys are not just replacing employees, they are replacing them and then giving these crazy increases. Like Jessica Baston is a perfect example, the county engineer. The county engineer that left was making like $77,000. Jessica makes like $105,000 now. I mean, this is the craziness that's going on with all of this. And then you've got Jody Norick, who follows up, and she says there should be no impact to local property owners because of the 1% cap on taxes for residential properties. Where are these people doing some math at? Because I'm very confused with all of this, right? Now, it goes on to say that the council will conduct a special meeting on September 23rd at 5:30 to consider the change and discuss the 2026 county budget that must be trimmed by $2 million. Now, let me understand this. They're going to trim the budget by $2 million, but they've already given the commissioners $950,000. If they give them $1 million on Tuesday night, that's almost $2 million. That does not include the other money that's already been handed out in new money this year. So it will exceed that $2 million. All I'm saying is the shell game, the smoke and mirrors, the lack of transparency is off the chain and out of control. So I want people to understand it's so important to do more than just show up to vote. So, it would be a redistribution of the tax revenues, Green said. It's a plausible option. For who? Who is this a plausible option for? These people transferred $7.9 million from the general fund to the rainy day fund at the end of 2024. There is no need for this. And you heard me last night, there's $5.5 million sitting out there in interest. None of this is true. So with them being said, right, this article comes out, then we get this public notice. This public notice says, this is what your existing rate is. And then right over here, it says it's a proposed rate. Well, it looks like there's a difference. Now, it says it's a transfer, but it's not technically, and we're going to go into that. And then remember when they just said in that video, we need no more money. What is this? This was hidden in the public notices. Clearly, we need more money. So these are the kind of things that I'm at my wit's end. I need more people to show up. I need more people to be involved. We can only do as much as we can do as we work on this. This is another big one. We're watching all the chip and seals go. This is right in front of Rich Wine's house. This road did not need to be paved in the first place. Our tax dollars, this got on the list. Even the highway department said they don't understand why they were doing it until they realized it was Rich Wine's house. And that's what he's in charge of. So for Kristopher to say, yeah, they don't get they're not over the insurance and stuff. I just want you to know they're over the insurance and stuff. So I want you guys to, we're going to listen to a little clip and maybe you can enlighten me. How do we bring that up, Kate? Listen to this little clip by Todd Culp when he was running for auditor. Listen to this. And thank you to Nicole for even putting this together. How do I do the sound? Well, maybe we don't have sound. Unmute.
Absolutely loved serving as the chief deputy auditor. In this position, you get to serve a lot of people. You get to serve elected officials and department heads. You get to serve the public and the taxpayers when they have questions about their bills and their deductions, homestead deductions, things like that. And I would love to have the opportunity to serve Madison County as their next auditor, and I would appreciate your vote.
Okay, Todd Culp, thank you very much. Good luck.
So,
We
it
appreciate
must be all the way at the end.
And
We have
we'll
to
come
go
back with more manners. You know, I'm
How do I back that up, Kate? I need to put that in reverse because he kind of tells us about how it works in the auditor's office. He even goes on to say that because people have called in, they want him to put the budget up on the web page where people can just see it and have that transparency all themselves. But that wasn't going to happen either. So he hasn't made that happen. I don't know if Kate can back that up or not. I don't know.
How far back do I need to take this?
Just goes all the way to the beginning.
Go all the way to the beginning? Okay.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
this one's been flipped down.
Okay. Well, it's on screen, right? Because I'm not on the page anymore.
we appropriated $10, but you made it 14.
Yeah, that's just silly.
That really is the point.
That's
right?
silly.
They decide, the county council appropriates the money. Commissioners kind of see if it's being executed properly and so forth. But then you tell them how much money there actually is.
That's right.
Or how much is coming in based on the projections. Well, again, and people, I think it's very complicated, and I think
it's incredibly complicated and complex. And even you think about the council, though, they don't have enough time to understand all that stuff. We're there full time, and the council are part-time people that show up once a month to do their work, but they're relying upon the auditor to give them valuable information. And that's our sole goal, is giving the county council valuable information so they can make proper decisions.
Well, again, I talked to a former department head who did say that your boss would, unlike other auditors, give them the numbers that were correct. He did say that. So, and all I can do is hear back from a department head or a former department head. I'm not there to count the money coming in.
Yeah.
Now, as an auditor who sees the pools of money, you mentioned the property tax being a big source of the money. Is that you would like to see it maybe changed? And you don't have any control over it, but in other words, should we diversify the revenue sources? You mentioned the local income tax. People have talked about, well, the state has a sales tax and state income tax, different thing. But I mean, is it fair the way it's set up? Because property taxes can be tough on people.
Now we're getting into opinions.
Well,
Okay?
but that's not your.
That's okay, but I don't mind sharing my opinion.
Yes,
you know, it's not something the auditor has control over.
No.
But in general, I can't stand property tax. Okay, because what happens is as you age, you know, and you think about going out of work and retiring and stuff, your assessed values can keep going up, and unless you make
Your income doesn't go up. But
that's
the
right.
Value goes
you know,
up.
and unless you make a very, very small amount of money, you can't get a deduction that stops that assessed value. I do not like property tax. I think the move to a local income tax to offset that property tax is a
Yeah.
great thing. But here's the problem, Mitch, is it takes money to run government, and it's gonna be some sort of tax. So it just depends where you
that's
like
where the
it
money
at.
comes from.
I'm more of a fan of income tax is okay. I like sales tax, but all those things have impacts on the economy or where money's spent. So think if you raise the sales tax, people might, buy it from
Buy
other
more
states
stuff
or.
Well, the property tax, technically, you could have somebody worth 10 million or somebody making 40,000 living the same valued home.
That's
technically.
right.
But the first person has a lot more money available to pay, but that's not reflected just in the property tax alone.
That's right.
So that's what we talk about when I was in the state governor's debate in terms of the state gas tax. Mike Braun, who's a senator, when he was in the legislature in 2017, voted for a 10-cent increase in the gas tax. And he's being attacked. He said, well, we got to use that to pay for the roads and bridges.
Right.
So, I mean, if you're going to do roads and bridges, you need money, right?
Roads and bridges cost an enormous amount of money.
There never would be a popular tax.
No, there's not going to be any tax that any of us like. I don't like to pay taxes. Do you?
Well, no,
I don't either. So, but we like to drive on our roads. We like to be able to call 911 and have the police show up.
The house is on fire. You want the firefighters to come.
Yeah, preferably. I mean, I don't.
Sorry, you didn't pay your levy. We're not coming to that address.
That's right.
That'd be tough.
Yeah, we all hate taxes. It's a fact, but we also all appreciate the services that government offers us.
Well, Todd Culp, I appreciate you coming, and you've been 8 years in the current post.
Yeah.
And you want to be the county.
So that kind of tells you, we know that Todd Culp doesn't like to pay taxes because, well, he sometimes doesn't pay his own property taxes. And then we all know that in 2024, he filed bankruptcy. And I get it. If you're in your 20s and that happens, I get that's a learning experience. But when you're in your 50s, your whole business goes belly up, and you're now an elected official that can't be fired. You can be as incompetent as you want to be, and you get to still continue this with our tax dollars. My problem is I am unwilling to part with my money this easily. So, and so see right there, somebody says the Culps are way behind in their property taxes. I mean, they just did a $500,000 bankruptcy as well. And that's where this county is headed. This is a big problem. So, Kate, I gave you a picture. I wanted to explain to you guys. I don't know if you can put this up. There's a gentleman who did a great example of what's getting ready to happen with this increase when these guys, it says Madison County Council's local income tax proposal is a tax hike. I don't know why everybody believes what Scott Green is saying, or frankly, what Jody Norick is saying, because this is an increase no matter how we swing it. So this gentleman says, and he used to be a former commissioner, I read the great interest, the proposal made by the Madison County Council to shift a portion of monies collected from the local income tax. The proposal, as reported by Councilman Scott Green and in the draft ordinance, would shift a portion of the collected funds away from local property tax relief. So it's going to take from somewhere it's going to take from. I don't know why people believe that this isn't going to be a burden on us, because what they're going to do is they're going to do this and they're going to come back and say, now we're going to have to raise this tax over here. And there is a clip. I will locate that clip. There's a clip where actually in 2024, when Culp was running, he literally says, we need to max the tax in Madison County in order to survive. Because you see what happened in Madison County is the government was so kind to give all this money to the governments. They gave it to people who did not know how to respect money. And when they did that, and now these officials have run out of money, they don't know where to go get money except for to come to the taxpayers and get it. So the amount of the shift would be from 0.5% of the total to 0.25%. In other words, a reduction in property tax relief, or clearly make no mistake, a property tax increase. When the lit or local income tax was proposed originally and passed to the taxing units, the property tax reduction portion was a big selling point for this income tax. Now the proposal is to take a lot of that relief away. One county council member justified the move by saying, with the new state property tax cap, there would be no impact. There is always an impact. And that was Jody Nork. I showed you where it said on that article. First, in this area with increases in assessment, a limited number of property owners qualify for the cap. Second, for those properties that do not qualify, it will force a reduction of funds for distribution to, for example, schools. Now, for those of you in Madison County, understand this. Anderson schools are getting ready to propose a referendum. That referendum looks like it's going to be increasing people by like $100. So listen, all that goes on here, we're going to rob Peter to pay Paul. And then when that's not enough, then, we'll throw in little Jimmy or little Susie. I don't know, but this is getting out of control. So there are referendums coming. Let me just tell all of you. This taxing action is controlled by the Madison County Tax Council, which I showed you. There, everybody has a piece of the pie. Anderson has a piece, Pendleton, Elwood, Alexandria, in the county, which is made up by different units of government in the county, including the town of Pendleton and the city of Anderson. Each unit has a portion of the votes to make the final decision. A public hearing is required. I would strongly suggest that you make your feelings known to your local council and to the Madison County Council on the matter as soon as possible. Once again, this is in its final form a property tax increase. I cannot explain to you more than that. If you weren't at that meeting, it's a big deal. We've got big issues on the horizon. People just can't even put food on the table. I mean, people are deciding, do I go to the doctor and get my $10 lisinopril for my blood pressure for 90 days? Or do I keep my home and have to pay these property taxes? We are just getting clobbered in property taxes. And people, look around the room. When you don't show up, they get to just continue to increase our taxes. We may not think about it when we're 21 or 22, but then when they get to our age in their 50s or 60s, it really starts to be a burden. Just like property taxes, we are continuing to pay even well past the point of retirement. People in retirement are on fixed incomes. It's not like they have this overwhelming amount of money that's coming in. So I encourage everybody to come out September 23rd on Tuesday, speak on behalf of this, and tell them, no, the only person who's going to even do anything remotely in that room for that council will be Bethany Keller. And I don't know what Bethany Keller will say. Will she come to the table and say, listen, guys, we don't have a choice. We have to raise this, so I have to go with my colleagues up here? Or will she say, this is absolutely ridiculous? The commissioners are coming in here, and in either it was January or February, they asked for the 5.5 million just starting out the gate. And now they've come in for 500,000. And now they've come in for 443,000. And now they're coming back for $1 million. I mean, at some point, somebody's going to have to take a pretty strong stance, but she's only one vote. And she, quite frankly, needs the help of the others to talk to other areas. So again, there's a lot of information going in here. I don't know if I've done a good enough job to explain to everybody the importance to show up at these meetings. This is your checkbook. It's your pockets. Our roads look like a third world country. If you've ever been to Haiti, it is dirt roads. It is potholes. It is horrible on the cars. And yet Jessica Bastin is coming in getting millions and millions and millions of dollars. But I don't see any roads being fixed unless it's out in the country in front of Richwine, or if it's out in the country in front of the Lycans. I'm not seeing anything major happen here in the county. So where is all of our money going? And that's what we need to start asking. The reason why they've continued to get away with what they've gotten with because nobody shows up. Nobody questions these people. And, it's the same thing with the commissioners. You're not allowed to speak in their meetings. Well, that's not acceptable. If everybody shows up and all those seats are full, it doesn't matter. You're going to speak because at some point, the pressure is too great for these commissioners not to let you speak. And if you listen to Rob Steele, like he's saying, oh, well, Anderson City, they've got utilities and they've got this and they've got that. So they have all these other units that get taxed that they can pull from. Listen to what you're saying, Rob Steele. Everybody pays a 911 tax. So why is it that the municipalities have to pay into that? What's happening to all that money? Why is it that these municipalities are punished twice? They're penalized twice. So if you live in the rural area that you're not with one of the municipalities, then you're only taxed one time on county. Well, what is this double dipping that's going on? And again, you need to talk to your mayors, you need to talk to your representatives in your own area because that's who is actually speaking for you. And I've heard it time and time and time again. According to Robert's rules, these are the people we voted for. That's who represents the people's voices. So they get the floor for the next 4 years while they're elected. Well, let me tell you something. I didn't vote for those people. Okay. I didn't vote for Jody Nork. I don't live in her district. Okay. I definitely didn't vote for Rob Steele, and he is in my district. I didn't vote for Scott Green. I didn't vote for Jonathan Culp, and I don't have a problem telling people who I voted for or who I didn't vote for. I didn't vote for Bethany Keller. She's District 4. She's all the way up north. You don't. You only get to vote for what your district is. So, that's the thing. I voted for Christy Grabowski, and here's the thing. I think Christy Grabowski is a very nice person, but she's not a representation of the majority of the people who are saying, no, we don't want to pay any more taxes. As you saw, she voted in favor of the illegal action that the county made last year. They illegally took out PERF and FICA. I don't want a representative that will enable crime to take place in my pocketbook. I don't want it. And then on top of that, you're going to come back and tax me. So when does this bleeding stop? It stops as soon as people start showing up. And so, and that's right, Stumblefoot, you heard him. He hates paying taxes and he doesn't. What did Commissioner Gardner do? Gardner removed all of his property taxes so nobody can see whether or not he's paying his taxes or not. That's not an elected official that you want representing you. So make sure when you go to vote, it's more than just showing up at the polls. It's about making and casting educated votes. It's about telling your loved ones, your friends, hey, listen, we've got a problem. In my office, I will tell you, there is tons of political talk that comes through there. When it is election season, people are asking even my staff, who are we voting for and who are we not voting for? My staff has made it really simple. If the signs are out in the yard, you're voting for them. If the signs aren't in the yard, you're not voting for them. It's kind of that way because we get so busy and inundated with calls. But at the end of the day, you have to cast educated votes. So if you're not signed up to vote, you cannot vote on the day or you cannot sign up on the day of elections. You've got to sign up. I think they cut that off. I want to say like 40 some days before. It's 30 days. So 30 days prior to the election, they cut that off. So it's open now, register to vote. It's a good time to check and see if everything lines up correctly. And then you have to make it to the polls and see how that works. So, let me know. There's a lot to be considered here. I'm begging people to come out Tuesday night, September 23rd. Let your voice be heard. The sheriffs need their raises. We do not have to do this PSAP in order for them to receive it. The commissioners have put on full display that we don't have to do this. It is completely on full display. This is nonsense about the rainy day fund. That's where we would be putting salaries. That again is nonsense. They've got $5.5 million in play in interest. That is more than sufficient to get those sheriffs probably through the next 10 years. So at some point, we've got to get some checks and balances. It is at 5:30. That's a good point, Dave Sargent. Usually it's at 6 o'clock. So they want to change this to 5:30 because they want to make it tighter and tighter and tighter that people cannot show up and make this on time. So I just want you to know, I mean, I literally will be canceling patients or moving them up and double booking myself to get over there on that day because it's that important. So I just want everybody to know that I am passionate about how we spend our money. And I just want us to do better. I want the council to do better. I want about 6 Bethany Kellers sitting up there saying that this isn't right and I'm not voting for this. And you know what? Let Todd Culp commit the Class B misdemeanor. Let him do it. And then watch somebody hold him accountable. And I'm going to be honest with you. It shouldn't be the constituents who are filing this issue about the misappropriation of funds and the fact that they took the FICA out in the perf. It actually should be a council member who, I mean, that's a whistleblower thing. I mean, this is a big deal. And so there's just so much information. I know I put a lot on my page, but I can't encourage you enough to get involved and say no more. So the power's always been within the people, but we have to show up. So I'm not going to go late tonight. That's just kind of my story about the taxes and where we're headed. We'll see a lot more in the coming days. Will the sheriffs get their raise? I think that the sheriffs will get the crumbs that the council believes they should get or they deserve. None of this will I ever accept where Green or any of them say, we just don't have the money. Because after the display of actions and the fact that they intentionally took out that federal money, the money is all in there. It's just hidden from the people. And the council really should. I'm actually disgusted with 6 of these members. And so they actually, the sheriff should get their 21%. We shouldn't think twice about it. I don't know if anybody noticed yesterday in Pennsylvania, there were 3 officers that were killed and 2 were in critical condition. I think they were serving a search warrant. And this is the reality. These men and women leave every day. They don't know if they're coming back. They could be doing the simplest task, and then that's the end of their life. I don't understand why this is even up for debate. What should be up for debate is you intentionally took that money out. We're not giving you that. We're going to give this money over here to the sheriffs. Those are the big deals that we need to be asking and talking about, but we need more than just 2 people going to the podium or 5 people going to the podium. So, you know, I hope that more people will certainly come out and watch what's going on out there. So yes, and Anderson did get their 25%, and it had nothing to do with the absurd explanation by Todd Culp. That is that explanation was just absolutely ludicrous. I got phone calls from people when they heard what he said on my way home, and they were just irate. And you know, here's the thing. I don't mind for Todd Culp to go to the podium. I don't mind for Rick Gardner to go to the podium, because every time they do, they just show you a level of incompetence. And the bad thing is that for people who don't know, you actually believe this. You actually like drink their Kool-Aid and think they're doing something fantastic for you. They're ripping you off, and they're doing it, and they don't even pay their own taxes. So I encourage people to get to know people, be a better judge of character. At the end of the day, don't let these properties go up. And I'll tell you something right now, there is no way, no how they're going to be able to shut off dispatch. this will be a crime within itself. So we will have to stay vigilant. We're going to have to stay involved, and we're going to have to continue to expose everything that is going on in this county. Yeah, if you're the person who asked me that question yesterday, I couldn't remember all the details, so I did not look into that today. I'm going to actually take a picture of this so that I have that tomorrow. I will call and get you an answer and find out what the answer to that is. So I have it. Kristopher was traveling today, so I didn't really want to bother him. So I'll work on that for you as well. So anyways, I appreciate everybody who tuned in tonight. I know I'm not as exciting as Kristopher, but we'll continue to expose as much as we can. Let me just see if there's any last minute. The one parting gift I'd like to ask everybody is, do you actually know how many taxes we pay in a county? It's like a crazy number. Like, we're taxed on cigarettes, we're taxed on alcohol, we're taxed on utilities, we're taxed on our cell phones, we're taxed. Somebody said it's like 50 some taxes that we're getting taxed on everywhere. And that is just the craziest thing I have ever seen, but it is true. And we just keep paying it. I don't even understand. I'm listening to my patients come in right now, and they're all quitting smoking. And the only reason why is because it's $13 to $15 a pack. I'm like, holy cow. So, but it is what it is. People are allowed to do what you let them get away with. So we wanted to talk about, let me make sure, because Madison County is just on fire right now. And I don't care what Kristopher says, we are way worse than Delaware County. We are more criminal. Oh, and did everybody see, that's the other thing. If you are up, I think it's in Grant County. So the same Park Place Communities that owns those trailer parks, they've got water shut off in a trailer park up there. So now we've got 3 places, they say, in Madison County that are owned by this trailer park. At what point do elected officials come together and they say, listen, they abused my town, they abused your town, and we got this town. And you know what? We're actually going to come together and we're going to fight for our constituents, the people that we are actually supposed to serve. And we are going to go after these people on behalf of these tenants. Because you know why? Let me tell you something. I was raised in a trailer park. There is no way my mother would have known at that time how to fight this. And so this is why this is such a huge deal. If you're going to be an elected official, help your constituents. Do better. And so it's amazing to me that all this is actually happening. The other thing is, I don't know if you saw my post, there's been a mass exodus up in Allen County with their firefighters, and they're retiring, and they're having lots of problems with administration and pay. So they've lost a crazy amount of public safety. And the thing is that our county council, if you heard Todd Culp in that, the reason why that clip played, Todd Culp says, well, we want to be able to call 911. We want to be able to call fire when we have a fire. Well, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, 6 of those council members are not allowed to call fire and rescue because you don't want to raise them anything. And in Madison County, and I don't know how it is in Delaware County, but in Madison County, it's the city who pay for the fire. The county really doesn't do much. And so the other point I want to bring up as well is that in 2022, after they raised the public safety lit tax, Chad Blake from LaPel, at the time, I don't know if he was the vice president or the president of the council, he went to the county council and he asked for like $100 and some thousand that they needed. And yes, they needed it, but it was also owed. Like, it was the portion of the taxes that they should have gotten LaPel. Ben Gale clearly said in that clip, yeah, we're not getting that for you. And we understand that, but you didn't ask for it in the right amount of time. So he asked for it for the following year, and Ben Gale still said, no, we don't have that money. And so you're asking these municipalities to pay you what you think they should pay you for a dispatch. But when they come to you in need for their public safety money, in which they're entitled to and owed, the county doesn't have it. Where is all this money going? I do not people need to start asking, where is all this money going? Because we have nothing to show for this. So that's kind of, yes, this is my soapbox because we all work too hard for our money. So get involved, be vigilant, stay involved, and we will see you on another night. And thank you for everything. Just even showing up. I just appreciate all of you. And I thank Kristopher and Kate for allowing me to do this. And it's moments like this that I gain a lot more respect for Kristopher, because this is really hard to do. And so you feel like you're just talking to yourself, even though I know all you guys are here. And maybe one day Kristopher will let me have some of my favorite people who are in the comments here, and we'll get on together and we'll banter together. I'd love to see what some of you look like, just to see what you have to say. So anyways, I'll continue to post. Remember, Tuesday, September 23rd at 5:30 is your chance to speak, and you will be heard. And Kristopher will be off tonight, tomorrow, Saturday. Hopefully he'll be back on Sunday. If for some reason Kristopher can't, I'm happy to come back on Sunday, and I'll be a lot more prepared because I won't be working until 8 o'clock and then running to get on the computer, and I'll be a lot more organized. And I'll try to put up more stuff to entice people to come out and push back on these elected officials who continue to fail us. So everybody, you have a great, safe weekend, and continue to share our posts, continue to comment on our posts, and go team is all I can say, and shine the spotlight on everybody. So we'll see you soon. Enjoy your weekend.